Good Wednesday morning. Today, the book is this, what is it, sixth chapter. This is directly aimed at the leadership, the political and social leadership of the society. Boy, he's powerful. When I read it, I'll comment, okay? I'll read it to you. This is really an interesting text. It's a stark warning to anyone in leadership. Here he's talking about kings and magistrates and people like that, but it could apply to anybody. It could talk about a pastor in a church. How about the head of a family? Whatever. It's where we are to be responsible for others. Watch what he says. Hear, O kings, and understand. Learn, you magistrates of the earth's expanse. Hearken, you who are in power over the multitude, and lord it over throngs of peoples. He's not a happy camper when he's saying these things. Because authority was given you by the Lord, and sovereignty by the Most High, who shall probe your works and scrutinize your counsels. You got to answer. Great line in The Godfather. Got to answer. Got to answer for Sonny Carlo. Got to answer for what you were given. I love that line in The Godfather. Got to answer for all we have given you, all that God has given us. How did we make use of it? Got to answer. See? Not necessarily did you keep your nose clean. How did you use the gifts I gave you? See? Watch what he goes. He's being tough now, right? Because though you were ministers of his kingdom, you judged not rightly and did not keep the law, nor walk according to the will of God. That is talk about the 20th century. Watch this thing here. Watch the next line. Terribly and swiftly shall he come against you, because judgment is stern for the exalted. You could say history. I mean, terrible and swiftly come against the Lord, but it's the Lord of history. See? For the lowly may be pardoned out of mercy, but the mighty shall be mightily put to the test. You got to answer. For the Lord of all shows no partiality, nor does he fear greatness, because he himself made the great as well as the small, and he provides for all alike. But for those in power, a rigorous scrutiny impends. See? To you, therefore, princes, are my words addressed, for that you may learn wisdom, and that you may not sin. For those who keep the holy precepts hallowed shall be found holy, and those learned in them will have a ready response. Desire therefore my words, long for them, and you shall be instructed. Don't just throw your weight around. Think of Hitler dying with a gun in his, blowing his own brains out. And the judgment of history. No. Yeah. History, in many ways, is the ultimate teacher. I taught it to my kids in class. The way it sorts through it all. Personal history as well as, obviously, political history. You see, in the end, the truth comes out. And often the judgment, sometimes it's immediate, is harsh. Hitler and his cronies, Mussolini, look at Mussolini gunned down in the street in Milan. He had it coming. Excuse me for being blunt. Okay, he had it coming. He led a nation into horror. And it's interesting. I think of this a lot. I think I wear out my poor people at St. Mark because I think of this so many times. I say it a lot. How the 20th century could have produced so much monstrosity. And much of that monstrosity by people who were initially Christian and even Catholic. Hitler was a Catholic. Mussolini was a Catholic. Stalin was a Russian Orthodox Christian. And they replaced Christ with themselves. And they led to sheer monstrosity. Enslavement, communism, and horror. Hitler and Mussolini as well. Mussolini collapsed much earlier, but what he did in Africa, in Ethiopia and other places, try to set up the new Roman Empire, is a monster. But look where he came from. If you want to speak of an age of enlightenment, how can you not say that the 20th century is the age of Einstein, age of the sciences, and all the rest? And yet it's the age of monstrosity. You would never say it was an age of wisdom. How could you ever say that? That it was a time of great wisdom? The hell it was. It was a time of tyrannical monstrosity. That the human race survived it. Maybe one of the great stories later in history to come out, that the fact is that goodness did triumph over evil in the end. Barely. And a lot will be how we are, the victor is judged, of course, in the course of history. How, you see? We won. Was the bombing of Hiroshima, Nagasaki with nuclear weapons, in that sense, justifiable? See, that's when the suffering of the innocent, the non-combatants, etc. We're too close to it to ever have an assessment of our own leadership, even of the victor. We're in a position to judge the vanquished, especially the monsters of the 20th century. That's not tough to do, and it's valid. There is no way you can justify Hitler, if not in the beginning, throughout his powers, the slaughter of the Jews. Holy cow. If that isn't an era of monstrosity, what does it look like? Gassing 6 million Jews. Think about it. It's an age of horror. Somebody used that expression. It's an age, the 20th century is an age of horror. That's the truth. But look who were the monsters of that time. In so many instances, they were former Christians who espoused a messianic role. They made themselves the Messiah. And what they were the messianic messengers of death and destruction. In this profound sense, not wisdom, but radical self-destructive foolishness. Who looks as foolish as Mussolini? And in its own way, Hitler, as he cowers in the bunker, blowing his brains out. Yeah. That's just the truth. That's the book of wisdom. If you pursue sin, you will self-destruct. The 20th century is proof of that. It's a stark warning. Aristotle saw, seek wisdom, seek virtue in order to create a virtuous society that will in turn enhance your virtues. Don't seek mere power and the will to power. That's Nietzsche. Because you'll get what you want. Power now, but then destruction later. That's just the book of wisdom. These guys were sharp who were writing this stuff. They lived through the downfall of the Greek empires. They were in the heart of the Roman Empire. They were steeped in Egyptian history. They saw power come and go. They have a great idea what it looks like, and also its monstrosity at times. See? On the other hand, they are not without hope, because wisdom is present in the world, but you must seek it. And if you seek it, you'll be wise. And in being wise, you will lead personally a good life, because you will see what is true, good, and beautiful. Truly what's true, good, and beautiful. And you won't fall into the trap of self-delusion, leading to monstrosity. I have a great deal of hope in the human adventure, but I also am not a fool. I know that how vanity is blinding, and it can lead to horror. It can lead to horror. So all you got to do is look at the 20th century. There's your proof.